Hello everyone. I've gotten a few requests to show you how to use a casting reel. It's sort of something that you need to learn if you want to get into fishing. The beauty of these things is they have a lot more horsepower than a traditional spinning reel. Spinning reels have a little bit better drag systems. You can play fish in certain scenarios better. But if you're looking to throw larger baits, heavier line, and just have a lot more power, casting reels are something you need to learn how to use. So there's a simple way to set up these reels. It's actually less fundamental than you'd think, because when you're first starting out, you need to make sure that your reels are set up properly in order to avoid backlash. A backlash is simply when the spool spins faster than the bait's traveling and it kind of wraps up its own line and then it creates a knot. Backlashes are a pain. They suck when you're first starting out. They can be bad and just waste fishing time. So I'll show you how to do it. Okay, first things first, a lot of modern reels have braking systems. All you have to do to set it, these 13 fishing reels have good ones. What you want to do is crank it all the way up. So on this Modus, it goes from 0 to 6, 6 being the most. And this is basically a frictionless drag system where the higher you crank it, it just helps slow how fast the spool spins. The other thing too you need to be worried about and keep in mind is the spool tensioner on the side. So you can tighten it up. And you'll notice right here when I open the spool, I've got it so tight that my bait doesn't even fall on the other end. And so if I do it on the contrary, really loose, it's going to spin like crazy and then kind of make some loose line there. So what you want to determine, at first you can use it on, like if I'm in the boat here, so maybe I'd put the rod to the back of the boat and I'd let out line until when my bait hits the piece of, like hits something like the ground, it stops spinning. And this is according to the weight of each lure. A heavier lure is going to pull it down faster, and a lighter lure obviously is going to pull it down slower. For a heavy lure, you want to just make sure that as soon as your bait hits the bottom, see what happened there? My spool overspun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten it some more, and then to the point where as soon as it touches the ground, it stops spinning. So there's a little bit of loose line in there. I'm going to get it out. And when you're first starting out, you can even go a little bit tighter. And so it just slips down very slowly. I'm going to go even a bit tighter. So what that does for you when you go to make a cast, basically stops on its own. I didn't even use my thumb. So that's how you want to start out, just to get the feeling of using a casting reel. You want it to be really tight. You want to have your brake system on as tight as it'll go, and your spool tensioner tightened down so that you can make a cast and it stops on its own. Now, you don't see pros or people that do this all the time running their reels like this, is because you don't get maximum casting distance. And that's kind of where some technique and some practice comes in. You can actually loosen that off and use your thumb as the spool tensioner. So if I want to fire a cast, I can fire the cast and control the speed of the spool with my thumb. So I can loosen it way off, as loose as it'll go. And you can still control that spool. I'm going to loosen it right off so it falls super fast, maybe loosen it some more. You can control the speed of the spool with your thumb. You never get a backlash, you learn how to use your reels, and you'll catch a lot more fish. Like I said, there's certain scenarios where you really do need a bait caster. Musky fishing, bass fishing, pike fishing, all kinds of fishing. When you're using big baits, you want horsepower and you want to use heavier line. You're going to need to learn how to use a casting reel, and it's simple. Make sure you crank it down tight until you get used to it, and then you can back it off to really let them rip. So there you have it. Simple process, practice it, and you'll have it in no time.